So I've been asked to do a video on the most masculine vanilla fragrances for a while now, and I keep getting messages and sometimes comments as well asking what the most masculine vanilla fragrances are. Well, today in this video, I've got 20 of them for you, and also it's a ranked list. 20 most masculine vanilla fragrances ranked here. If you're curious to learn about them, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian. We're talking about masculine vanilla fragrances. These to me are the most masculine. Now you might think vanilla is an uber feminine note and these might be still feminine for you, but to me, they're really leaning masculine. They go woody, dark, leathery, unusual, smoky, you name it. They're completely different than your typical sweet, gooey, caramelly, sticky, ambery vanilla fragrances. Let's get started. First, we're going to talk about the house of ELECTIMUSS London. This is Vanilla EDESIA. Super spicy, smoky, incensey fragrance. A bit animalic as well, created by Cecile Zarokian. It's a bit tough and challenging to wear this. When I've got the name vanilla, like the word vanilla in the name, and I'm putting it on, unfortunately, this is not one of my favorite fragrances of her, or Cecile Zarokian. It's a bit on the challenging side, but they kind of tried to balance it out with gourmand notes. But still, it's an unusual, very masculine-leaning, animalic-leaning vanilla fragrance with a lot of different notes. Vanilla is in here, but you've got cumin and frankincense. There's cinnamon, coriander, heliotrope, sandalwood, lots and lots of different notes. But to me, it doesn't act gourmand. It's very masculine, a bit challenging to wear as well. I love the cumin a lot in this, but I wanted it a little more. But everything kind of seems like it's doing too much. But the next fragrance from the house of DS and Durga, it's deep, dark vanilla. But boy, it's so unusual. It's overdosed with a strange patchouli note. And I love the combo of patchouli and vanilla together. In fact, I'm a big fan of patchouli, my favorite note, and then vanilla, my second favorite note. But here, it's just a strange fragrance. It acts strange on skin. It doesn't act very vanillic, unusual kind of a smell. But I think there would be some fans, both of the fragrances I've discussed here. But it really leans, very masculine. Like if you're looking for something different with the kind of notes they have in here, try this one. It's got dark patchouli, vanilla. There's hay, cypress root, green vanilla leaves, vines, cabruva, orchid, pink pepper. It's very spicy. But try it out and see what you think about this one. It acts very masculine. In fact, it's uber masculine, the same as the first one that I spoke about. But sometimes it's a bit difficult to wear. Let me know if you're a fan of this deep dark vanilla. What are your thoughts? It's a bit challenging to wear that one. Not in an uber animalic kind of a way, just strange. It's a strange fragrance, I should say. The next fragrance is from the house of MONTALE. It's dark vanilla, this one right here. Once again, we've got a very masculine, as I said, this is a masculine vanilla list, and this is uber masculine. You've got vanilla mixed with oud. There's lots of leather here. It's uber leathery. Not only do you have leather, and you have also saffron, which kind of intensifies the leathery touches. There's amber, patchouli, cumin, and musk. This is a very masculine, animalic take on vanilla. I think it has an audience. I like this one a little more than the previous fragrances, but it's not one that I actually kind of like pull out and wear over and over again, if that makes sense. It's like you have to be in the right mood to wear this one. But dark vanilla, very masculine, very manly. Let me know your thoughts on it. Then moving on to the house of Goldfield and Banks, it's Silky Woods Elixir. So this is a follow-up to the original Silky Woods, which to me was uber caramelly, butterscotchy, sticky, sweet vanilla mixed in with woods and oud. The woods and ouds were in the bottom and the base, so it's more of a gourmand experience. But here, it's like, what have they done to this fragrance? I was expecting something more intense, more amplified, more extreme than the original. But they've thrown in some stuff in here that I feel like this is a totally new fragrance. And for vanilla, it leans uber masculine. It's got vanilla, oud Assafi, fig, agarwood, saffron, ambroxan, cypriol, Peru balsam, and a lot of other notes. But also it has a very Middle Eastern vibe here for a fragrance. I wish the DNA, I think, of the original is in here, but I don't pick it up too much. It's kind of a brand new fragrance and very masculine leaning. So it's Silky Woods Elixir. Let me know if you're familiar with that one from Goldfield and Banks. And then up next, we've got a fragrance from the house of Serge Lutens. This is Amboise Vanille, this one right here. I really love the fragrances of Serge Lutens, but this is not like an inviting fragrance for me. And I'm not saying this is like uber masculine of like the other ones, but in the world of vanilla fragrances, it's quite woody. I mean, the name Bois is in there. The word Bois, it's referring to woods, but it's vanilla, coconut, beeswax, licorice, sandalwood, tonka, bitter almonds, guaiac, benzoin. Yeah, sure, it has ambery touches. It's quite creamy here with the notes as well. Even though there's lots of woods here, it does act creamy, not only from the coconut, but the sandalwood. But I feel like vanilla is kind of like diluted down with all the notes in here. So you get a touch of vanilla, but it's a lot of other things happening with an overdose of wood. So it's Serge Lutens Amboise Vanille. Let me know if you're familiar with that. But moving on to the house of imaginary authors, it's Memoirs of a Trespasser. Are you guys familiar with this? Very, very masculine and very resinous take on a vanilla fragrance. This one also kind of reminds me a little bit of Patchouli. Is it Patchouli 24 from the house of Le Labo? But it's Madagascar vanilla, Guaiac wood, myrrh, benzoin, ambrette, and oak. It's got smoky touches here. And also the gum resin idea comes to mind. It's very, very resinous. The myrrh is really amplified with the benzoin. Those are two resins in here. So in the end, if you're not looking for something uber gourmand, sweet, sticky, sugary, caramelly, vanilla, this is one to try. But you gotta like be into the idea of resins. I think it's a very resinous fragrance and also woody at the same time as well. I love this house. It's a very underrated indie house. This one is not my all-time favorite, but I respect it for what it is. And it's perfect for someone that's looking for vanilla, but not the sugary gourmand kind of vanilla. So it's Memoirs of a Trespasser from the House of Imaginary Authors. And then moving on to the House of Maison Tahiti, it's Vanille de Minuit, this one right here. This was recently featured in Scent Club Mystery Box. This is a very masculine take on vanilla. It's overdosed with leather. Lots of leather here. You experience the vanilla for sure, but it's got saffron, sandalwood, leather, and benzoin. So you've got ambery touches when it's drying down, for sure leathery, and woody when it's drying down as well. But the vanilla, I feel like, is overdosed, but also the other notes, like the leather, is overdosed as well. And the saffron and leather together amplify the leathery touches. Basically, the idea of leather and vanilla kind of balancing each other out. So it makes for a vanilla fragrance with an overdose of leatheriness, so it kind of tones down the gourmand touches. So this is Maison Tahiti Vanille de Minuit. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. Then we're going to the House of Perroy. It's Gold Fawn, this one right here. This was also recently featured in the mystery box. This is actually a simplistic take on a vanilla fragrance. It's very creamy, kind of acts a bit coconutty, but also vanillic. So there's cedar, sandalwood, and vanilla here. And I think the vanilla, that's kind of this kind of creamy, syrupy consistency against the sandalwood creates for a very creamy, smooth wear. But in the end, it's not as gourmand as I wanted it to be. It's overdosed with woods, not only the sandalwood, but cedar. But I feel like, again, if you are into the idea of vanilla, but not so sugary sweet, something like Gold Fawn would satisfy. And it's also on the budget side. It's not so expensive. Then moving on to the House of Initio Parfums, it's Absolute Aphrodisiac. Now, this might be a bit more of that kind of gourmand vanilla that sometimes you might be put off by. I love vanilla, by the way. But I don't think everybody loves it. This does have animalic notes, so it kind of tones down that kind of gourmand edge. Makes for a bit of a daring take on vanilla, but it's vanilla, amber, castoreum, leather, musk, white flowers. There's white flowers here, but they're very, very super faint. There's also musk with the leather and the castoreum. So it's very, very leathery against the amber and the vanilla. So yeah, you're going to experience more of a gourmand experience here, but I feel like it's toned down with the leather and the castoreum in this fragrance. So it's Absolute Aphrodisiac from the House of Initio Parfum. Next up, going to the House of Jo Malone, it's Vetiver and Golden Vanilla, this one right here. Are you guys familiar with this one? Now, this one's quite easy to wear. It's also not super intense. So those of you that are probably just getting into the world of fragrances, this might be a great fragrance, especially if you like the idea of vetiver, you wear it, and you want to dabble in vanilla. You can get this. It's the nice balance of vanilla and vetiver together. So it kind of tones down the sweet vanillic touches, but you still experience it. It's nicely kind of drained with that whole kind of grassy, earthy woodiness of the vetiver note. But it's bourbon vetiver, bourbon vanilla. There's cardamom, tea, and grapefruit in this. I think it's great fragrance. It's not super intense. It's not super dense, but really wonderful combo. And it works. Vanilla and vetiver do work. So that's Jo Malone's Vetiver and Golden Vanilla. Then going to the house of Matière Première, it's Vanilla Powder. And again, this is a fragrance I didn't really care for when I first smelled it. It's grown on me so much. I'm kind of addicted to the smell. And once again, I feel like we've got a kind of a musky ambroxan kind of thing happening inside the fragrance, even though there's Palo Santo, there's vanilla, coconut powder, but they say white musks. I get like ambroxan or something in here, which is what really to me is the addicting part. And it actually kind of tones down the sweetness of the vanilla here, makes for a very masculine take on vanilla. So if you haven't tried this one, try it. Give it a chance. Maybe a lot of the fragrances, if you're not digging them, like it happened to me, I might not like a fragrance on first sniff, but it grows on me, and of course it'll grow on you too. Not only this fragrance, many fragrances out there, but I'm really into vanilla powder now. It's Matière Première vanilla powder, really lovely stuff. Then we've got a fragrance from the house of État Libre d'Orange. It's Fat Electrician. Yes, I'm featuring this here. And once again, we've got the whole vetiver and kind of gourmand vanilla notes that are in here. So it's whipped cream, vetiver, marron glacé, vanilla, olive leaves, myrrh, and a Papanax. I'm putting this in this because it is vanillic and also creamy and nutty, the marron glacé, the candied chestnuts, but it's lots of vetiver, so it kind of tones down the whole gourmand vanilla idea and makes it more balanced. You've got lots of masculine notes and a bit on the more feminine side of notes, but makes for a really great vanilla with vetiver and also other gourmand notes. So it's Fat Electrician from the house of État Libre Orange. Let me know if you're familiar with that. But the next fragrance is from the house of Parfums de Marly. It's Carlisle. There was a time I was really, really into Carlisle. I remember this was an exclusive to the Parfums de Marly boutique in Paris, and also I think there was an exclusivity in London as well. I brought it back into the States and nobody really had it. I did a video on it. Really, really wore a ton of this one. It kind of fallen out of love a little bit with it. I get bored, obviously, everybody does. But still, a really great take on a vanilla fragrance with a lot of other notes like patchouli, tonka beans, a Papanax, nutmeg, green apples, rose, osmanthus, davana, saffron. For me, this acts like if Leighton and Harrod had a baby. It's called Carlisle because there's a bit of a tobacco-ish touch in here. Maybe like tobacco vanille-ish type of experience. But in the end, it's a really, really great take on a masculine vanilla fragrance. So it's Parfums de Marly's Carlisle. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Up next, going to the house of Nichané. It's Ani, this one right here. Really, really wonderful, spicy, zingy take on vanilla. It's overdosed with cardamom and ginger, mixed in with that very syrupy vanilla in here. Along with the way, you also have rose, bergamot, there's benzoin, there's sandalwood, blackcurrant, pink pepper, and a lot of other notes. There's cedar that comes in as well, patchouli. There's a lot going on here. It's once again Cécile Zarokian, whereas I'm not a big fan of vanilla EDESIA. I really love Ani. This might be a little less masculine than vanilla EDESIA, but I think still on the masculine side. It's vanilla, but it's nicely balanced with more notes that are associated with a bit more like masculine fragrances. But really wonderful idea. For me, this was also sort of a reminder of the now discontinued Dries Van Noten from the house of Frederick Malle, which I felt like they're kind of similar, but there's a lot more happening here with spices, whereas that one is straightforward sandalwood and vanilla. But either way, great take on a vanilla fragrance. It's Ani from the house of Nichané. Then we're going to the house of Boho Boko. It's vanilla black leather, this one right here. In the end, it's a black pepper fragrance with an overdose of vanilla. The black pepper is spicy and it actually tones down all the vanillic touches. But along the way, you have olibanum for the resinous ambery experience here, cedar, heliotrope, white musk, orange blossom, rose, and nutmeg. This might not be uber masculine, but feel like the black pepper and a lot of the other notes tones down all the vanillic touches and creates for a nice balance of a spicy take on a vanilla fragrance. So it's Boho Boko vanilla black powder. I'm sorry, vanilla black pepper, not vanilla black powder. The next fragrance is from the house of Parfums de Marly once again. It's Altair, this one right here. This does have a bit of a reminder of Mercedes-Benz Club Black, but I think it's because it's the same, is it the same perfumer? No, same perfumers from the same company, Firmenich. There are differences, but this is a really, really nicely done vanilla from the house of Parfums de Marly. It's bourbon vanilla with pralines, cinnamon, ambroxan, musk, cardamom, bergamot, orange blossom, and a lot of other notes. There's a lot of woods and resins in this, and also the vanilla is quite strong. It's not that kind of sugary, sweet, syrupy, sticky kind of a gourmand vanilla. It's more powdery, it's dry, it's woody, and also musky. So I make that more of a masculine take on vanilla. So that's Altair from the house of Parfums de Marly. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. All right, 4 more left. We've got one coming from the house of Tom Ford. It's Tobacco Vanille. I think the reason I have this here is that smoky, ashy effect that happens against the vanilla, which kind of makes the vanilla more butch. It butches up the vanilla. But it's tobacco leaf, tobacco flower, vanilla, cocoa, ginger, dried fruits, and spices. I love this fragrance. My favorite Tom Ford fragrance. Absolutely love it. Waiting for a parfum. But if you like a very spicy tobacco take on vanilla with some lighter gourmand and fruity spicy notes, got to get your nose on Tobacco Vanille if you haven't. It's one of the best fragrances that have ever been made. So Tobacco Vanille from the house of Tom Ford at number 4. Then a newer fragrance from the house of Nuit Nomade. It's Estrella de la Mañana. Really dark, leathery, smoky take on vanilla here. Very, very masculine. Really uber masculine. It's birchwood, vanilla, cocoa, and benzoin tears. Vanilla benzoin creates an amber effect. In the dry down, you're getting that. So there's a bit of a cocoa chocolate thing happening along with that. But that birch note, smoke and leather combined, such a masculine take on vanilla. It's gourmand, but it's not. The birchwood really, really tones down any kind of association with a gourmand type of an experience. Let me know if you've tried it. I know this can be a bit challenging. The birchwood is not a very, I think it's a polarizing note, and it creates a lot of smoke and leathery touches. But either way, Estrella de la Mañana, one of my favorite launches of this year. I absolutely love it, and totally masculine take on vanilla. The next fragrance from the house of Ormond Jane, it's Vanille des Afriques Intensivo, this one right here. This is fantastic, guys. That's why I put it here at number 2. This is a ranked list, by the way. I absolutely love this. This is a really, really great take on vanilla. Totally different than anything I've spoken about today. It's Madagascar and bourbon vanilla along with orris butter, jasmine, coriander seeds, bergamot, carrot seeds, osmanthus, magnolia buds, cedar. Very woody, very spicy, and extremely powdery. But it's the kind of vanilla that's not, once again, that syrupy, sticky, sugary, sweet kind of vanilla. It's definitely on the dry side. And I've mentioned in a lot of videos, I get mastic resin from this. It does have a resinous touch, but I feel like it's the orris butter that's creating that kind of an effect. But super amazing. Absolutely love Vanille des Afriques Intensivo. This is from the house of Ormond Jane. That's at number 2. And my number 1 most masculine vanilla fragrance in my collection is Vanille Supermassive from the house of Les Eaux Primordiales. Amazing, amazing fragrance, guys. Really masculine, I think. It's vanilla, fir balsam, labdanum, caramel, patchouli, elemi, ambroxan, cinnamon, white musks, and bergamot. This was featured in a regular Scent Club kit. It's, again, one of my favorite brands, one of my favorite fragrances. I absolutely love to wear it. It's super sexy, but it's a dry, masculine take on vanilla. Not uber gourmand, even though it has caramel listed with vanilla. Fantastic fragrance. Let me know your thoughts on Vanille Supermassive. Add a comment down below, and that is the list for you guys. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances, and do you have a favorite uber masculine take on vanilla fragrance that I did not mention here today? If you do have one, do list it in the comment section so I can find out. Either way, thanks so much for watching. As I said, if you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.